Welcome everybody to the May 24th Jefferson County Board of Commissioners meeting, and you're all invited to join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have a fairly light agenda tonight, which always means we have a long meeting. The first thing we have on our agenda tonight is the Jefferson County Jail third floor renovation project, and we have a representative here from RQAW, and we also have Sheriff John Wallace, so if you two would be so kind as to come up. And I'm not sure of the engineer's name.
My name is Sanjay Patel. I'm an architect with RQAW Corporation.
Welcome. That's rude. Well, where are we?
I understand we have two options on the table for us. Yeah, right.
I think we discussed it in the past regarding do we want to stay with the ceramic or do we want to go with the stainless, and my belief is go with the stainless, and hopefully everybody's in agreement with that. I think in the long run that'll be the cheapest route to go. So if it can be tore up, it will be, so I think it'll be much safer as well. Ceramic can always be broke off and used as a weapon against the jail officer and other inmates. So I thought it was a stainless, even a little bit more expensive now, but in the long run I think it'll be cheaper for us.
Well, the difference is about $25,000 for the stainless steel fixtures versus the ceramic. And that $25,000 over the course of the life of the project, we feel definitely will be worth it.
Could you kind of go over both proposals just briefly, just so that we...
We were contacted by the county to look at adding 16 beds for a women's dormitory on the third floor of the jail. That's currently occupied by a 911 center, which is going to get relocated outside of the scope of this project. What we did was completely demolish everything there on the third floor except the restroom. And the two proposals that we came up with, option A and option B, were to add the 16 beds, bunks, and tables and chairs. And the difference being between the two was the amount of work we were going to do in the restroom itself. Option A was the more expensive of the two options, but we recommended the use of stainless steel fixtures. And option B, the cheaper of the two options, was minimal demolition in the restrooms and use of ceramic fixtures. We would be adding skylights as required by the American Correctional Association requirements. The HVAC system, the electrical system, communication, so that would be updated to meet the current standards and to match what's in the rest of the facility. We would be adding a television, inmate phones, security cameras, upgrading the hardware on the doors, things like that. Just bringing everything up to code so 16 inmates could be living there in a safe environment.
Okay. The stainless versus the tile, would that be more sanitary as well?
A lot of it depends, of course, you know, how you upkeep the facilities. But definitely stainless steel over our experience has shown that it's been much more sanitary, more durable, of course, like the sheriff said. Prevent somebody from using ceramic pieces as weapons. And you know, we've done both ways in the past, but we've always regretted doing ceramic.
You said the 911 center move was outside the scope of this project.
That's correct.
John, where was that money going to come from as far as the move for that?
Did we not include that, I believe, in with the total cost of this project?
I'm trying to
Well, that's what I thought, but
John Hendricks, I dropped that, and
that's what I thought.
Yes.
That's the reason I was
Yes.
surprised when he said it was outside the scope. So
I believe that we asked that to be.
that's what I thought. That's the way I remember.
Yeah, included into
As well.
this, the total cost of the move of that as well. So.
Okay.
Sanjay? You don't know.
No,
It's in the plans that were submitted by Joe.
That's fine.
Okay.
And you know, we can work with whatever your needs are. And,
Sure.
we can work with that.
There's a minor issue of difference between the area in which they measured, which was the bottom office or John's office versus the second floor in which the dispatch will go into. The difference is there's a small bathroom up there, which is a necessity for our dispatchers to have those spots. So, speaking with Joe today, though, he doesn't think it's going to be an issue as far as working those details out.
Well, like I said, the scope of the project, building our 911 centers is not a big deal. Once we're in there, we'll do whatever it takes to.
What about that 911 center? Are we still on track for August 1st, getting that done so we don't have the double cost?
Correct. John and I just spoke of that a few minutes ago, and that's our goal, is to get that taken care of, so you don't have to pay for that twice. Yes.
Okay.
Matter of fact, we have already started cleaning out
John sent us an email,
office space and so.
briefed us about that.
Good deal.
Well, it sounds like, what, do we need to pass a motion to
I think we just need to have
proceed with final design, and then I guess the county council needs to appropriate the money? I guess we would need to make an advertisement for the county council's agenda. And we've got several county council members here, so if anybody wants to ask any questions, probably a good time to do that. Everybody's been briefed on it, I think, previously.
Well, I'll make a motion, we proceed with the stainless steel option for the jail project.
And your motion includes getting this into bid specs?
Absolutely.
Spec.
Right.
Commissioner Cash has made a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Commissioner Pietrykowski seconds. Is there further discussion from the floor? Anybody else on the commissioners? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Okay, so we'll get the advertisement moving for the county council meeting. They meet again in June, I believe.
Second Tuesday of June.
Will there be time to advertise for the,
I'll put it in tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay, good.
How much is the additional appropriation you're asking?
it will come from King Jail?
It will, and that's a good question. I don't recall, I know there's amount set aside for this project. It was a gap between the lowest and the high. I can't remember.
Well, there's a range, but
I
I
can't remember what the
think
range was.
we should
Right.
probably appropriate, and we don't have to spend the appropriation, you know.
But really, until it's bid, we really won't know what the final
That's
cost
the
is.
danger,
That's the-
you know, people like to have definite costs, and in a governmental world where you have to take bids, that's not possible.
So,
we have-
but you need to advertise the amount of the appropriation.
I was gonna say, unless I have a bid,
Well, you can,
That's why you use the upper estimate on the
just
right.
use the
That's what
estimate.
you'll have to do.
Quote.
Yep,
and then,
that's the
you know,
engineer's estimate, you can use that as the,
we can certainly, you know, hope there's a lot of competition and
Sure, absolutely.
and save a lot of
pencil
money.
sharpening on it, yeah. And then not spend the appropriation, just spend what we
We've
need.
just been bid a project in Seymour just a couple of days ago and getting very good bids, so.
Good.
How many bids did you
Right.
get? You
I think it
remember?
was 8.
8?
It's a good number. Very good number.
And we're not so far away
No.
from Seymour.
I heard with the month running, they're all,
Yeah,
so
Right.
looks like a good plan to bid.
very good.
Sounds good. Thanks, gentlemen. Appreciate
Thank you
it.
so much.
Should you need me to hang around or?
No, we're good. Thank
We'd
you.
like to get you back to Indianapolis before dark.
My wife would appreciate that. Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Do we have, I don't see Charlie Cravens from HGC here. Is Charlie here?
Well, understanding when we talked to him early last week that he was going to try to make it, so that's the reason he was on our
Well,
agenda.
Charlie may sneak in here. Don't go too far because we're gonna, matter of fact, if you want to, we could talk right now about the food services agreement for the Jefferson County Jail. We do have an agreement in front of us. We've seen this agreement. It's my understanding that the Jefferson County Council has also been briefed on this agreement for the jail and is in agreement with it. I haven't heard any, we're gonna save money. I'm expecting you all are in favor of that. You got a co-worker with you here,
Jeff Beasley,
Jeff.
District Manager with Canteen.
or, oh, sorry, Jeff. Thank you. Will, I think that they addressed, I think Canteen addressed the issues, or, well, we didn't have issues, but we had some clarifications on the contract that we had to do, and I believe they have met those.
I believe they have, yes.
Okay.
I think the contract looks fine, and it's gonna be substantial savings
the other, I think, two important factors that go into the sheriff's recommendation is that the current employees in the food service division in the jail are going to become employees of the canteen. So we're not leaving anybody without employment. And we have an inmate garden, which the sheriff has started as I think a project to improve morale at the jail. I think it's a great project. And they're going to incorporate those vegetables into their food service. And when they do that, it's going to reduce the cost to the county of those meals by using our own vegetables. So, is that fair? So those are reasons that I think that this is a good deal for the county in all those respects.
Okay. Do we have any further questions from the audience or from the commissioners?
I have read, I think it's going to be a good deal for the county as well.
Sounds good. It's a good money saver.
Let me just say that there was, because this is a service contract, it's not necessary that it be bid. The sheriff did solicit other proposals, got another proposal. This is still his recommendation because of all the factors we just mentioned.
Yeah, this is an unusual, with the vegetables you just talked about, using an employee of Jefferson County. It's an unusual system, but one I think that's worth the effort to try to save taxpayer dollars and also meet our obligations with the jail.
I'd love to say, as Mr. Gary said, the additional savings
Is this for 1 year, or are we going for the 3 year? It's
3 years.
for 3 years, but we do have, each
And they
party
can be
has
renewed.
escape options too, if either of us feel, in certain limits, if they feel that it's not working out.
If they don't perform, then
Right.
certainly can terminate it.
Right.
Or after, at the end of the 3 years, 6 days before that, you can give them notice up to 6 days before that you're not going to renew.
Okay, and that was one of the things that we worked out.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's see. I would entertain a motion to approve the manual food services agreement between Jefferson County and Canteen Services of Kentuckiana.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Pietrykowski. Do we
I'll
have a
second.
second? We have a second by Commissioner Cash, and I would like to announce that I will be abstaining from this vote as I have a relative who works for Canteen and some services with the company, and it could be a possible conflict, so I'm going to abstain. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, we have 2 ayes and an abstention, and the motion passes. And it looks like my signature is required here. Do we have 2 copies of this by any chance? So we could have a copy and we could have an original and they could have an original. I've got a copy.
I don't have copies of it.
How about we make a copy of that signature page and then we'll have 2 copies. Or we'll put it with the other one. That'd be okay? Thanks, this is exciting and
Thank you for the opportunity. We appreciate it.
Looking forward to it. When you actually going to start? Like it's going to be a real good savings.
We're going to look at June 15th, is we talked to that conference that's the date we're going to go back with everything.
I'm sorry, I didn't get your name.
Jeff Beasley.
Is there a second or separate contract for the commissary as well, or is that all included?
that's all I had. I thought it was included.
I think both contracts.
Both are together,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I think it's a comprehensive, but if you wait just a second, I'll sign 2 and what we'd like, and then I think the auditor has to attest my signature. What we'd like is we'd like to have an original, and then you can have an original too. Would that be okay?
No problem.
I realize you'll have to take our copy to get your signatures.
I'll be able to
Oh, can you
sign.
sign
Yeah,
for the
absolutely.
company?
Yes.
Great, well
So we'll
that's
knock it
good.
all out right now.
And John, I think, is there a spot
Yeah,
on it?
there's
You've got to sign
places.
too, so we'll just sit here and do a little signing if you want to. Oh, you've got your own, you're welcome. Yeah.
Take it right.
Take a break. Charlie.
Not for you, not for anybody else anyway.
Thank you, Steve.
Yeah, there's both a canteen contract and the food service contract, and they should be both
You
together.
start
Maybe
doing
there's
one,
two separate-
you do one.
Yeah, they're 2 separate contracts, but I think they're both there, so there may be actually
Oh, let
4
me-
places for you to sign.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, is there? Oh, I think there's 2 separate contracts.
There was a separate, commissary
Should
contract.
be on copy, make a copy.
Is there more pages to sign than what we signed?
You bet.
Is there more pages to sign than what we got, we had there? Celeste needs to attest to my signature, John. And then we'll get Jeff back up in just a second. And then if you all could just sort this out in the back of the room.
No problem.
Then we each have an original.
That's not.
We have to wait. Oh, gosh, sorry. We had a mess up on it. Seems like the 25th.
Getting up.
The most exciting news are corn program.
Is it?
Guess we're doing something right,
There you
yeah.
go. Do you have a planter? Use a corn planter.
Jeff already has that one.
Cover the front of it. So here's the front of this one.
Those are just, so it's,
Have we got things getting messed up, Celeste?
other than one.
I like to
This
know what
is-
we're
this is
signing
the-
for.
Yeah, this is the food service agreement, there's a.
Isn't there a can't, I mean,
There was a second one.
There's a
commissary,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
commissary?
Is there another page to sign?
Not in this one, that's a separate agreement.
That's what I was asking, if there was a
Where's the second,
commissary.
where's the separate contract?
Well-
for the common?
Okay, what we can do there is that if the board, I know, it meant for that to be in the motion, is it all right with the board if I just sign that?
Yeah, you can
and we
sign
come up
it.
with it? Okay, so email, I come down tomorrow and sign or whatever.
Just know that, and that's just the jail location.
So I think there might be a separate page to that, but we'll take care of it. We passed the motion, okay?
No problem at all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So specifically, you're authorized to sign that.
Do we need to fill out the location?
No, it's on exhibit.
Okay, so.
It's actually located, it's up in the jail, in the body of the contract.
Okay.
Is Sherry Chapo here? Okay, there you go. I'm sorry, Sherry.
Okay, you ready?
I didn't see you come in, I apologize.
Am I allowed to sit?
Sure.
Thank you.
I'm here about, I threw this up for the council last week. And I talked with Celeste yesterday. This was supposed to have been an itemized invoice that helped to support Ralph Armand's.
Not an invoice, a request.
This was his request.
A request, yeah.
Okay. And then I was informed that you weren't supposed to give this to me as a public record.
Right.
Is that correct? Okay. If you can look on here, I'm assuming that these are all employees of the health department. Here's Ralph. This is written Ralph Armand here. Celeste also told me yesterday that this is her handwriting for calculations. So I had a real hard time understanding what these numbers might mean. And as you look at this, you can see some of these just have numbers, and some of these have a number with a V and then an H, assuming that's 57 days and 3 hours. And the same thing here. And even within a vacation, Ralph doesn't say anything, it says 101. I don't know if that's 101 hours, 101 days. I don't know what fed this particular request right here. And what I've asked for is a substantiation on the employee's time cards in order to do that. I have been denied because I'm told it's part of the personnel record, and that's not true. There is personal identifiable information on the time card, then that would be redacted. The hours that he's worked that has fed his service card would be a public record. And I've asked to have these hours substantiated. The other thing that bothers me here is the overtime. Ralph is a salaried employee. You do address non-exempt and exempt employees in your handbook, but there's not a classification to know whether Ralph Armand was indeed exempt or not. So by going off of what his duties were instead of what his title is, according to federal labor law, he would be considered exempt. So he wouldn't necessarily be entitled to comp time or overtime. Celeste told me yesterday that there's how many hours here? 236.1 quarter, I guess these are supposed to be hours, which equates to 33.7 days. That was entirely for emergency management.
He said he was an emergency management person, and that salary person, if you are an emergency management person, the law states that you can have overtime, and that if it was a disaster, a declared disaster, which the tornado was this year and the flood was last year.
So
And that's what those hours pertain to.
And that overtime would be in addition to what he's already allocated, which is 35 hours a week. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And so what I've asked for is to substantiate those hours. I'm having a real difficult time understanding how someone could put 33.7 days in of overtime in addition to their regular time with those two events.
Well, it's very easy when you're an emergency management
Well, and it
person.
may be, but these numbers have not been,
Not on that piece of paper, but to us they have been.
but to me as the public, it has not been.
Sherry, I explained to you that I had met with the State Board of Accounts attorney on this issue, and that personnel issue, that I can give you salary ordinances if it's by what position someone runs, and you and I talked about this, didn't we? Okay, and then, but once a document has a person's name on it, it goes into the personnel file, which payroll does, sick days, personal days, for any employee. That becomes a personal thing, and that is not part of the transparency.
Well, I beg to differ with you because I do have a public access ruling here that deals with time cards. And it talks about certain items that may be confidential that you would be subject to redact. But that doesn't mean that.
But
The
I'm not-
hours that feed him are a matter of public record. We have a right to substantiate what these have been claimed have actually been earned. And you
The
have not
state
done
audit,
that.
the county auditor's office has
Would you
confirmed
like
those, and also the commissioner signed off on payroll. And I offered you the state attorney's phone number when we talked on the phone.
No, you did not.
I did too.
You said it was a state board of accounts that were
And I met
here
with the state
for the last
attorney,
3
and I
months.
offered his phone number if you'd like to contact him.
Celeste, you did not, and I would, that doesn't have relevance right here with what we're saying. I'm here to the commissioners because they originally approved this. And I'm asking, when this first got advertised, I called Tom and I asked him what it was for because he said it was for the health department. Do you recall that conversation, Tom?
You asked me about $20,000 or
Yeah, and
something.
I said for the health department, do you know what that was for?
It was unemployment, what Celeste told me that was for.
Well, there was $1,500 that was listed for unemployment that I also had a question with, but it was the $20,000. So my question is did you ever see this invoice? This is what
That's not
this
an
is.
invoice, Sherry.
This is a request.
It's a request.
And this was requested by Mr. Armand.
Right, but I did not pay off of that. Those notes will show that I did research, and that he did not get paid his sick days, he did not get paid his certain personal days. Those notes were where I went and checked the records to make sure that he had worked those overtime days with disaster relief, and that's what that is.
And I'm asking for public access to review those, and I understand that you struck those other benefits there.
Right, that was my research paper.
That's your research, that's your opinion, that you are validating this request as a claim that is valid and ready to be paid. And Mr. Armand was already paid for this, correct?
Yes, it is.
What I'm asking is, did any of the commissioners ever see this as part of the system, or is it all put through on a bulk voucher that you guys just signed off on, and you've never seen this, you never had questions? You wouldn't think to ask any questions.
I haven't seen that particular
No,
form,
you
but I
wouldn't.
do see
We don't
claims.
I don't
Yeah.
see time cards.
Right.
They don't look at time cards.
Well, I'm not asking time cards. You're saying that this is a request
That
for
was my
payment.
personal document.
Let me break in for just a second. Mrs. Chapo, let's go ahead, and if you've got more to bring up, go ahead and bring it up, and then we can respond to
Well, I
these.
do.
Okay, that's fine.
This was her original request. These were the papers that I received in public access.
Is that a blow up of that?
Yes, this
Okay.
is so that you could see that, because I had the council go with it 7 heads to try to do this.
Okay.
This is everything that I was given in my records request here from Celeste.
Uh-huh.
this is where she had underlined, these were highlighted on hers as to
That's
the reasons
research.
why you had researched and why you had invalidated. You still have not validated whether the vacation hours were hours or days, because you can't tell by this particular document how that, what that is. Because if you look down here, there's others that have vacations that are listed as D and H, meaning days and hours. Any prudent person would look at this and say that this isn't complete, this doesn't
No,
give
it's
me
not
enough
complete. I didn't
information.
tell you it was complete.
But how could you pay the hours here based on this information was
I
saying that
didn't.
there's
I
others?
researched it. That's
But
why
you
those
res-
numbers are on there, Sherry.
But you researched that and you haven't substantiated it to the public. This is a misappropriation. You have not substantiated
Sherry,
this.
Let's see.
Sherry, this is not also
I'm not
a
gonna debate
debate,
it, yeah.
and so we're not gonna answer
No.
questions. If you got this information, you may have questions about the information, that's not really a subject for the county commissioners.
Well, if they had actually approved this, and this is what I'm
Well,
asking.
you
They
just-
approved to
You
pay
didn't
this.
even ask a question.
I did. I asked them earlier. They hadn't seen this.
They paid a claim, okay? There's a process to object to claims. If you want to object to a claim, object to the
I
claim.
have been objecting, that's why I'm here, that's why I was in the
There's a legal
county commission.
process.
Well, there is, and we can go there, Will. I was trying to be nice here and try to bring this first to the council, and the council pointed the finger back to the commissioners. So I'm here at the commissioners as trying to be a nice civil taxpayer here to ask for you guys to be accountable for what you're doing with our dollars, and obviously, you're not willing to do that, so there are other avenues that we can take, and if that's the way you want to go, then be it on the record that that's how your county council, your solicitor, is advertising you to spend our tax dollars. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Okay, is there anything else?
Oh, I guess not.
Okay. And I do invite you to double check with the public access counselor on
I
anything
do.
that you have doubts about, and I would.
I can
would-
give you a copy
I-
right here of one that is
Well,
about this exact
pardon me,
case.
this particular case should be checked with.
Oh, it will.
And we do, I believe, have a telephone number for the public access counselor that we can provide Mrs. Chapo.
I don't need it.
You've got it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Why?
And I would like to remind you, Sheila, that we did review with you about the Form 99, which is the official document.
Oh, yes, for the
of
night,
law.
but it's the 99A, that is the public service record. That doesn't include, you can redact anything that has to do with sick or FMLA, and that is the record that I'm requesting. That carries his accrual of his hours earned and used from the beginning to now. That is a
It's part
public
of his
record.
private personnel record like it is.
Is there anything else?
I had another question.
Okay.
And Mrs. Reed, you said that on the additional appropriations requested for Mr. Armand, that you had stricken that for the council
I did.
before last time. And there was a lot of confusion when I got up there because I had told them what I was there for. They weren't even aware that it was on the agenda, and you were gone last week because I understand that you were at the state conference.
It was.
And that's not where I'm going at with this, but by striking that, you said that it got transferred from being an additional appropriations to being a transfer.
When we found out what we had to pay Ralph, it was not budgeted money. We did not know Ralph was gonna get fired. We had money that we had to come up with that was not in the budget, and when that happens, you appropriate money. Okay, you go for approval because we have to find additional money
I
to pay.
understand.
Well, I advertised that as an appropriation. And you advertise it 2 weeks before the event. Well, after I advertised it, Tammy, the interim administrator, came up with a very good idea and said, we are down a payroll here, and they also had a nurse quit that they don't have to replace right away. She said, I have these 2 payrolls. Instead of appropriating money, we might be able to transfer some funds. I don't know if I can cover all of it, but I would like to try, which was a very wise thing to do. I had already advertised it, I can't take it back, but when it came time for the council to look at it, I had put a mark through the appropriation form that I had filled out that they normally vote on and sign on, because it's no longer valid. I was no longer asking the council to vote on additional money, because we were trying to transfer money, and then at the end of the year, if we have to appropriate money to make up whatever wasn't covered, at that time I would.
So how is the transfer treated? Does that have to be re-advertised?
Transfers do not have to be advertised when it's in the.
So
same
was there a
department.
resolution that they signed to allow that transfer there, or nothing was required? Just because you struck it, how did that money get transferred?
Was it acted
It had-
upon by the county council?
Yeah.
At a public meeting?
But I wasn't there, so I honestly can't answer that to your question. I'm sorry. I
You don't know if they appropriated the transfer last week?
It's not an
You asked me
appropriation,
that.
it would be a transfer. It would
The
be in
transfer.
The
minutes if it was
transfer,
approved.
the minutes would approve it, right.
Okay, and what about the $1,500 that Tom thought was, well, you thought it was all for unemployment, is what you said.
Yeah.
You were thinking not the 20,000, or the 1,500.
The 20.
The 20,000.
Yeah.
Well, that was an unemployment for Ralph. That had nothing to do
That
with
was not
Ralph.
It's just that for health department.
And so you understand this, the unemployment rate has doubled on us since we made our initial budget. Every department, as
Sure.
it's come up, I've had to go and appropriate money. The general funds had to do it, the health
Had
departments
nothing
had
to do with Mr.
Had nothing to do with
Armand's.
Mr. Armand at all. It was covering all employees'
But you thought the
unemployment.
$20,000 was unemployment. Is that what you just
Oh,
said?
yeah.
No,
You told me the 20,000 was
no,
for unemployment.
1,500, whatever it was, I'm sorry, I do not have it in front of me, was for the unemployment increase. The 20,000 was to cover Ralph's final pay, what the county owed him.
Well, and this is why I'm
And I'm sorry,
here.
Sherry, I wasn't at the last meeting. If I would have been at the last meeting, a lot of this would have been clear, but I was at a state meeting, I had no choice.
Well, and I don't fault you for that, but what I'm saying is that there's a lack of communication. When someone comes up with a question, the council points at the commissioners point at the health board, everybody points, I go run around in this circle, I get no answers. You're basically telling me to take legal action in order to get public records, and this isn't the way to run government, and even one of your commissioners doesn't understand what appropriations were coming through here. You've got a real lack of communication here. Or it's got the appearance as though someone's trying to cover for someone.
You're misstating what I said. I did not say to file legal action to get public records. I said to file legal action if you want to challenge a claim. Public records, that should be resolved.
Well, I guess we're talking two issues, Mr. Garrett.
Between you and Celeste and the Public Access Council on a telephone call, I think we could probably resolve that. I tend to think that you redact records and give them. I think that's the right answer.
That's all I've asked for.
And I think that's the right answer. But
And we've been very.
all you have to do is have a
This
phone
too.
conference, I think, with the public access counselor, and if the public access counselor says redact and give them to her, then I want you to give them to her.
Yeah, this body will abide by what the public
And
access.
Sherry knows that. I told her, so Sherry, I'd give her anything that the transparency law says, but I can't give her things that are illegal to give her.
and you've
And I
consulted
met with the
with the
state
state-
attorney last week at conference
And they
specifically
said-
on this, and they told me I
They said
cannot
no.
do that.
So I think
I'm
that's a
going by
reason to
the
go to
law.
state. I think that's reason for a phone call to the public access counselor with the two of you.
And I would appreciate that that's where you're going with that. So, is that something that we can schedule?
I'll be glad
Celeste?
to. I'll be
Okay,
glad to.
and I mean, I think that we need to handle this sooner because it's been going on for way too long. I want to work with you.
I wanna work
I'm
with
just
you. There's nothing
asking,
to
I'm just
hide.
asking for public records to actually confirm the numbers that have been paid. And I will give you my blessings once those are given here and confirmed, and we'll all go on our ways, and then I will appreciate everything that you guys do. Right now, it's very frustrating from a taxpayer's position from where I'm sitting and not being denied wherever I go. Okay, so, I don't have anything else to say
Thank you
right
very
now.
much.
So you guys are gonna get together and make that call, right?
She's gonna call me and we'll see.
Okay,
what
that's
we
good.
can do.
I think that's the solution.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, the next thing that we have is handbook adaptations. I know that one of the things that we need to address tonight is the state's new nepotism law that was passed in the last session and signed into law. And I think that we are ready with a resolution for that, and Celeste has some other items.
Right. There's actually two resolutions.
Two resolutions.
This is the same.
Just as a reminder, we did pass in addition to our handbook policy last meeting for IT. Is that sure that's the right one?
Is that second copy? Is that,
Yes.
you wanna start with that one or the
Yes,
second copy?
this resolution, the state's policy requires each county to adopt a nepotism policy by July 1st. We're proceeding tonight to do that, and it will be effective immediately. And this one basically says that if you enter into a contract with a relative, as is defined here, and elected officials here, it only refers to county commissioner or county council members. that if you enter into a contract with a relative, you must disclose that information. And you've got to also explain it, the circumstances as to why it was entered into with a relative. And then annually, those elected officials must file a statement with the Board of Commissioners that they have not violated this resolution every year by December 31st. So that's this resolution, and it's in compliance with the state mandated policy. There's a second one that we'll go to after that if you want to do it
This
one
is
at a time.
another copy. Okay, this is resolution number 2012-02. This resolution establishing policy requiring disclosure of contracts with relatives. I think we all may have questions about this, and I think, this is new, and I think we're going to have to try to figure out how it goes. We're from a relatively small county, and there could be things that arise, so, we're going to have to, I can't think of exactly what it might be, but, if you've got a relative that owns a construction company, or is it your interpretation of the resolution that if the county would, is it a contract or is it any purchase? Like if, I'm trying to think, my uncle owns the Detello Fruit Company and they sell, I think, fruit and produce, although I guess John's gonna grow all his fruit and produce now, so he'll be out of luck anyway, but, it's not a contract, but it's occasional purchases, I guess.
Yeah, it specifically refers to a contract.
I mean, I'd be happy to abstain
and
on
it's
it, but.
for procurement of goods or services, or a public works contract. So I think that would be, even a one-time purchase could be considered a contract for purchase.
Okay.
It's
Well,
the
that's
type of
gonna
thing.
be carried down the line
Oh,
quite a ways.
I'm trying to think, I mean,
Yeah.
we do business, I know with River Valley Financial Bank, Bill. Judy, I expect we buy things from Ford Lumber.
And it's not, and those things are not prohibited.
I don't think we have a
You just have
contract
to
with
disclose
you.
them.
They just must be disclosed. And if it's by bid, then they're either the low bidder or you explain why you
Oh,
didn't
so it
go
just
with the
needs
low
to be
bidder.
disclosed.
Yes, it's just
annually,
it's a disclosure. Well, it's got to be disclosed at the time.
At the time.
And then there's an annual statement if you never violated it. And if you disclose everything, you've never violated anyone. So
Will we
it,
get copies of the annual statement? Is that attached to
it's filed.
this?
Okay. But those are filed with you guys.
Will the State Board of Accounts
I assume
provide
they'll
those
provide us with
documents?
the forms of that.
Okay. I think all of us probably need to take a look at that and think, what might constitute. I mean, Larry, I'm looking at you. We probably do pauper attorneys, maybe with Mark. I don't know if we do or not, but there could be something.
You have to ask him.
Yeah, he didn't probably discuss it.
Direct instead of indirect?
Well, that and this only applies to county commissioners and county council. So unless it's with you guys doing a contract, in other words, like public defenders may be done with courts. It's not with county council or the county commissioners.
I mean, direct benefit from one relation to the other.
Well, unfortunately, no. It really would be indirect relationship
It's
as well.
spouse, parent, or step-parent, a child or stepchild, brother, sister, stepbrother, or stepsister, a niece or nephew, an aunt or uncle, a daughter-in-law, or a son-in-law.
But it also requires that person to be an owner or partial owner of the entity that's benefited, okay? So, who is a relative, an elected official, or a business entity that is wholly or partially owned by the relative of the elected official. So unless you have a relative who's an owner, if they're just an employee, it wouldn't apply to them.
Okay, that's what I mean by direct and direct.
Yes.
Okay, well, we're gonna have to try our best to meet whatever these
So the disclosure
guidelines
statement,
are.
the disclosure at each purchase on a contract?
Yeah.
So you have to sign a form?
You have to, and announce it. You have to submit the form and then
Boy,
you
that's
have
gonna
to
be
accept the form.
that's gonna be a headache. It's gonna be a nightmare.
Think about some other counties where they've got a lot more employees. Sure.
But this is only purchased for the council and the commissioner.
This only deals, the only people that have to make these disclosures, this only applies to council and commissioners, this one does.
I'll make a motion that we approve the nepotism resolution 2012-02.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Cash. Do we have a second?
I'll reluctantly second it. I'm leery of this one.
Well, we
really.
need to do it to comply with state law.
I know.
State law,
Yes.
I've read it too.
Yeah, it's
No more,
state
no more
mandate.
budgets, no more appropriations from the state,
Yeah,
you don't
it's
approve it.
directly from the state.
It's not like we
I'd
got
be
a lot of
more-
negotiation.
I'd be more concerned of a county like Switzerland that has, 10,000 people.
Let me tell you, it's gonna be tough.
And, you're gonna be related to some people just by sole source.
But it's not saying you can't do it, you just have to
You
disclose.
just
have to disclose it.
Oh, I know, you're right.
That's
Kind of
You're
like a
right.
conflict of interest.
I
that
see.
we're saying.
But it presents almost a perception.
Well, it does.
It presents a perception of something that I don't think is an accurate perception, but,
You're right.
okay.
I second it.
Tom seconded it. Any further discussion from the crowd? Commissioners, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. And this will become a part, I guess, of our handbook?
Well, it could be a handbook or it could be a separate resolution.
Well,
so
there's a
it's-
nepotism clause in our handbook and all that.
Yeah.
So
Well,
next
that's what I'm.
That's right, this really is pretty much, is part of your policy, so.
This is the second one.
The second one.
Okay, the second resolution, which is Resolution 2012-03, deals with employing people who you're related to. And this one deals with basically each elected official, not just the council and the commissioners. This would refer to the recorder and the auditor and the treasurer, the surveyor, etc. And this basically prohibits somebody from being in the direct line of supervision. So you cannot hire somebody who is your spouse, parent, step-parent, child, stepchild, brother, sister, step-brother, sister, niece or nephew, aunt or uncle, or daughter-in-law or son-in-law in the direct line of supervision. And exceptions to that would be that if somebody's already working in an office and the relative gets elected to the office holder, that person can remain in the office who was there. Then the other one is the sheriff may employ his spouse as matron, or and a person who's served as county coroner and is then certified to serve in that capacity, and they can't run again because of term limits, can still be employee of the county coroners even though they're related to the coroner. And that just because in small counties sometimes there's not a lot of people who want to do that job. So this again is one that's elected that is effective immediately and requires an annual certification by each elected office holder that they have not violated the resolution.
More paperwork.
And there's a choice here. I talked about the matron and the coroner. The other choice was you could actually have in your policy that if somebody's working in an office and a relative got elected as office holder, that person could not stay as an employee of that office anymore. I didn't put that in here, but that was one of the options. Just seemed to be so unfair to the employees.
Grandfather.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's again a mandatory policy that the legislature prepared, and that was drafted by State Board of Accounts and the Indiana Association of Counties.
And the state itself, of course, is exempt from these things. They didn't include.
Well, they do have a policy, but it's
Yeah,
not
but
as extensive as this
Not
one.
like this, no. But it is what it is, and so this is state law, so do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make this motion.
Commissioner Pietrykowski makes a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Celeste, I think you've got some other things.
Did you want to talk about county auction before we get started?
Yeah, you want to go ahead and make an announcement?
Okay, the highway department did the county auction and they took in $8,665.50. That was a nice way to get rid of some items that were just sitting around.
Did the sheriff sell anything? Did he get? thought you had a couple of cars you said.
We sold all the courthouse
I don't
things
think
except
you
the
had any
beams.
cars in it.
No,
did
we
you?
did not.
Not this
No
time.
cars, yes.
Didn't sell the beans.
Didn't sell the beams.
I
Still have beams up there.
Well, I guess that the thing is on the beans, I would announce it if anybody wants those beans.
I think somebody said they could find some use for them.
Eric Baker said, I thought he said he wanted to, or the artist. is-
Yeah, good.
I think Larry Burr said he could find somebody too, so
That's what I heard. That's good.
there were some options, there's plenty of them.
They're just,
Dolores, do you have any titles to sign yet, or is it
No.
not yet?
You'll have the.
Okay, very good.
You
Okay,
want to go on this?
Sure.
Okay. The Commissioner's Office and myself have been working together, looking at our employee manual. It's been needed to be updated. Nepotism policy was part of that. Then we just did the IT policy, got that updated, and tomorrow with paychecks, there will be a copy of it that every single employee that works in the county will receive. And there's a sign-off sheet acknowledging that they have read it and that they have received a copy of it. Again, that's part of the updating of the employee manual. Some of this we're not quite ready far as voting for the commissioners to vote on yet, but these are other things that we are looking at. Our application needs to be updated, and part of that application is that all employees will have signed application on file, and if we ever need to do drug testing or background checks, that all employees will be required to abide by that if requested at any time while being in employment. So that would be on the new
And
application.
these are some of our insurance companies'
And
suggestions.
our
to keep
insurance, I was gonna
rates
say, our
low.
insurance, some of this is coming down from the state, some of it is coming down from our insurance company. So, let's see, another one, and we already have a harassment statement, but it needs to be updated. Just that it adds, sexual, racial, ethnic, familial, status, religious harassment. So it, like I said, we already do have one, but it just needs to have a few things added to it, so that's something we need to look at. The nepotism we took care of tonight. And under discipline, something that was recommended, also adding misuse of the, or not abiding by the IT policy, if there's misuse of any computers or phones or anything like that. Starting July 1st, currently we are being paid every other week and have been for many, many years. By being paid every other week, it's created a payroll reporting error, not necessarily an error, but an issue where the state wanted us to go ahead and report behind, not current. So by doing that, we have changed, starting July 1st, our payrolls in the county will now be the second and fourth Friday of every month, continuously. Tomorrow, with the payroll, each employee salaried, and it's for salaried employees, this changes, hourly people are already on that. Starting tomorrow, the salaried employees will get a letter explaining why the State Board of Accounts wants us to make these changes. That will show that as of January 1st to July 1st, what each employee has made to date, and then what the county owes that employee for the rest of the year, and it'll show divided by 12 pays instead of 13 pays of which we were on. And so this new policy is going into effect July 1st, and with that we have to update our employee manual. Our ordinance is already okay, but we need to update our employee manual to show the new paydays being the second, fourth Friday.
Do you want to talk about that for just a second, about the possibility of having to change some commissioner meetings?
Yes, and
While
that's
we're
the
on
last
that
thing I
topic.
have. To
Oh,
go
okay.
along with that, some of the commissioner meetings, since the way payroll works, the department head fills out the hours that their staff and themselves have worked. It turns into the auditors is a formal state form that we have to by law fill out. Then the auditors confirm that that's actual, and then before the payroll is paid out to the employees, the commissioners get a claim document that they are the final sign-off. So there's like 3 steps to this to make sure it's all validated. Because of that, they're starting July 1st, There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 commissioner meeting dates that I'm asking that could change from what was originally on the schedule, so that you'll be meeting the day of or the day before payday, so that you can sign off on the payroll if there's any changes that need to be made or whatever.
Will, is there a way to work with that, as that we could keep our, because sometimes we meet on certain days because we need to for other reasons too.
Right,
So
right.
is there a way that we could work around that?
There is, I mean, you can have a resolution that authorizes the auditor to make the payroll, and that you'll approve that claims at your next meeting, so that can be done if you want to do that.
Okay, well, let's give that some thought.
Sure.
And I guess we're gonna have to decide sometime during the month of June.
Got to decide next month, because we got
Yeah.
to change the meeting date in July, I'll change it.
Maybe draft up some verbiage that would,
Yeah, I
so we
can,
can see how that would look. Okay.
I'm familiar with another county that already does it.
Okay.
Their paydays do
I
not.
understand why you're doing it, but sometimes they're, like that 12/28 meeting at the end, we really need to meet at the end of the year, at the very end of the year. And so we probably could meet on the 20th, but I think we'd have to have an extra meeting on the 28th.
Right.
to-
I just wanted to make
I
you
know,
aware
I know.
that.
Sure, I understand.
And you're trying to
payroll is
comply
different.
with the way it would be.
If she needs one or the other, she either needs you guys
Right.
to meet, or she needs a resolution that
Right,
authorizes her to
right.
do it. Sure.
Okay, so we'll take that under advisement, but we do understand that this is going forward with
Yes.
the July
Yes.
payroll.
And this has been an issue for a long, long time.
Long,
I think Celeste
I
needs to be-
inherited it.
really needs a big thank you for getting this resolved
I do
with the State
too.
Board of Accounts.
And hopefully it will stay resolved and not be
Sure.
changed by subsequent auditors or whatever. Okay, anything else on that?
That's all I have.
That's all we got. We'll try to, we'll
think.
put the, Dolores, if you'd be so kind as to put the handbook on the agenda for our next meeting also.
Did you announce that we approved the claims in the minutes?
Yeah. Okay, we approved claims in the minutes at the first part of the meeting also. Usually I say that, but I forgot to say it today. So we're gonna have some handbook adaptations probably for the next few meetings to try to comply with the things that we need to do. So we are though steadily knocking it off. You know, the IT policy, the nepotism policy, and we're getting there. I did get an email, and I think some of the rest of you did too, that Tom DeVee, our insurance agent, is retiring. And he just wanted to let us know that, and I just wanted to say, you know, publicly that Tom was just such a key player in our recovery from the Jefferson County Courthouse fire, and he served his community, I think, very well in a professional capacity, and I wish him well in his retirement, but we'll miss him for sure, so.
He had a very good policy for
Yes, he
the
did.
courthouse fire. I was going to commend him on that.
And not extra hours involved.
He did, he did. Okay, and we have some department head reports, I know. Who wants to go first? John does. Okay, John Hendricks does. They also
John?
raised their hand.
The grant, I just got the money, the final numbers on the grant money for the new 911 system. And I don't have any contracts for you to sign yet, but I will at the next commissioners meeting for the digital 911 telephone system. So I think on that, we're going to need to appropriate money into the 911 account, out of the 911 wireline fund to pay for our 50% share of that.
So we do that appropriation.
Correct, yes, so, I'm not sure if we need to advertise that first so that we can vote on it next meeting.
For the commissioners meeting.
So, I guess we need to do that for $50,788.50 would be
So
our share.
50,788.
$50,788.50. And then, the next meeting, we would just, I would have the contracts for you at that point and appropriate the money and then sign the contracts and we should be able to move forward with it.
Do you think you have a good enough description there for that ad?
No,
Okay.
I was gonna tell her tomorrow.
Can you guys get together tomorrow to
Absolutely.
cover the language there, because I know that was quick. Okay.
That's all I have.
Well, that's good, John, thank you.
Thanks, John.
All right. Okay, Dave Bell.
I got a couple things. First, I've got my contract or my grant agreement for my reimbursement on my salary. And one of them will be for Celeste, because she has to have a copy, but the thicker one's mine, because it got an ethic form that I got to send back to the state. The other thing I got is, I received this in an email this week. Back after the tornado, United Way got together and was giving out $50,000 to each community or each county through the tornado area. And with that effort, they're putting together different things that they're going to do. And I got one now that says that the green shirts are coming, and it's for March 2 recovery is what it's called. And did you have tornado damage? If you need help, the Christian Reform Relief Committee is going to be in Chelsea on June the 5th at 9 a.m. And the way you will know it, they will all wear green shirts. And they are there to assist people that still need help in the community.
That's cool.
And
I think that's great.
you can have this put up out there if you want.
Thank
You
you.
gotta sign both of them.
Do you think we need to make a resolution to sign the grant agreement for Dave's salary reimbursement, which I feel certain would pass?
I think you probably need to have a motion to
Okay.
approach this.
Could I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve Dave's agreement here for salary reimbursement.
I will gladly second a reimbursement.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Blue pen, and it's right there. There's 2 copies. Like
Oh,
I
this
say,
is 2
one's for me,
copies. Okay,
one's
gotcha.
for Celeste, because she's gonna ask me for one anyway. Exactly, I think it was $11,700, something like that, is what last year's salary is what they're reimbursing us on.
Very good.
So they're like 50% reimbursement,
Yes.
which is the maximum.
That's, this year, as long as I meet my, what do you call it, assessment, then the federal government and the state government go together and give a 50% match. But I have to have a certain amount in my assessment first, along with that there's also extra grants that come with it if you have extra points. And for the last 3 years, I've maxed out on my points.
I think that's the point I wanted to
I
make sure
think
people
we
do.
need to certify
Because
that. like,
your job
years-
performance
Yeah, if you do.
and your training, that you get this, these many points, and that's why we get the full match.
Yes, it's not a guaranteed thing.
No.
You've got to meet a certain criteria or they don't give it to you.
Dave, I have looked and looked for my NIM certification, and I've asked them to also. We think that they were here, and Wanda, of course, is off, and so she
They could be.
She may know where they are. You thought possibly
Yeah,
Randy Warner might have had a copy.
Yeah, I did mine at the old jail, and I know we had it over there, but I'm not sure where it is.
Well, they gave me another option because I explained to them, with the courthouse fire.
Fire. Okay, we
And-
can use that for a.
And they said, well, if you've got somebody that's willing to take these other classes, and there was a list of 8 classes that would have to be taken. And I asked Robert, and Robert graciously accepted to take the
Oh,
classes.
thank you,
so-
Robert Black.
Very
Okay,
nice.
good. All of us are certified.
I know, and that's what I told
But
them.
we couldn't find the paper, and I think it was in a file here, so. Oh, Celeste needs to send that to you, I guess, that one.
Maybe Wanda knows where they are, Dave. I'm not
Wanda
sure.
might know, yeah.
That's
We'll-
okay.
We'll keep looking.
But Robert took the classes, so I got my extra match.
Okay,
so
well, that's good.
It worked out good.
That'll work.
I really like that blue pen.
I did too. I think it's
Dave, you don't have a second extra one,
Let's
do you?
keep. It's just one of those, another assessment factor you have to get the
Okay, this one's
certificate.
yours.
This was mine. That's my pen too.
Oh, but I really, yeah.
He's pretty possessive with those, we found out.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you, Dave. John?
Really nothing additional, other than our jail population is staying consistent. I think we're at 111 right now. I saw the city police pulling out a few minutes ago, so probably on the way up again, but it's staying consistent. I think over the weekend, we may have had 125.
Well, hopefully we can get this project going
Yes.
and give you a little bit of breathing room.
That'd be much appreciated, yes. It'd definitely help out quite a bit.
Thanks, John.
What else do we have? Commissioners, anything else from you before I ask the audience for comments?
I don't have any.
Do we want to talk about the extension building at all, or are you talking about that with the?
They're still trying to cut costs off of the extension. I talked to them today. So that's where they're at. They're meeting to see how they can do it.
Okay. And we've talked about this at previous meetings, but we are trying to get the courthouse bell that came out of the dome back onto the courthouse lawn. We have approached the Jefferson County Community Foundation for assistance with that, and Commissioner Pietrykowski has been working on it. The bell has been cleaned up as a part of our restoration process after the fire, and we're working on trying to get that bell out on the courthouse lawn and hope to do so before the end of the year. Anybody from the audience have anything for the commissioners tonight? Okay.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll second it.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 There will be a second session.